Okay, these are the texts from my son. So I just want to give you a little history before I go over these texts. Okay, so the when I had knew the stalker, okay, so the coach called up to ask for my son to move up to East Texas. He said that he had opportunity, he'd get him a scholarship, and there was a lot of strange things going on in Itasca. And my children, all of the people in my family were just acting completely weird and outside of themselves. I just did not know what was going on. My oldest son, I had already had to put him out. The games with his payroll check, and the company making him take the blame. Ameritude take the blame. I need to kind of slow down. Ameritude forced him to take the blame for a check that had been missing, a payroll check, and then also a lot of games with his bank and Walmart in Hillsboro, Texas, playing games with his payroll check, causing us to have financial distress. Each time we would get out of a bind, there would be a scheme to set the family back. And I realized today it was deliberate, like the missing attorney general child support payments. So my son, I couldn't fathom that someone would have a child. To me, he was a child. He was 20 at the time. It's my son. So I couldn't fathom that someone would terrorize a child into taking responsibility for someone defrauding him out of funds. Because I went to the labor board. I filled out the form to the labor board because the check would the company would not give him his payroll check, and I had been talking to this man on the phone like 2 weeks, but I couldn't fathom. It didn't click in my mind that they're setting my son up to take the blame because I said I'm going to the labor board. But I talked to this man and he said I'm not giving him his check. And I'm not paying for the bounce check fees. He said that up front. So anyway, so by this time I had put out my older son because his behavior was just really odd. It was like he was on drugs and he was being disrespectful, pushed me, and that was completely out of character for him. And then lied about it, and as well as a multitude of other things. So my youngest child started giving me problems when my oldest child left. It was weird. So anyway, so the coach called up and said, yes, there's opportunity, scholarship, let him move up here. So I said, okay, he can move in with my aunt. They had, the water was off. Gang stalkers lived in their house, controlling it, told me that they dealt drugs. So I tried to get my child back. And they were playing games and would not let me get my child back. So then I had the false arrest. Then he was going from place to place. A child that has not been homeless was going pillar to post. I have no earthly idea. My aunt told me that she put him out at the time like 15. And then, can you imagine how that would make a child that is not used to being homeless, had a stable environment? We all of a sudden have to fend for herself and be on the streets. So anyway, they won't tell me the truth about what they experienced. So he went to go live with Marcus Perez, which was an old friend of mine that I believe now were gang stalkers, and I didn't know at the time. So anyway, Marcus Perez withheld my child from me, used to degrade me, and told me about a book only the stalker knew about that I told him that I wanted to write. So Marcus Perez said, why don't you write that book that you said that you were going to write? One page, let me see one page that you're doing something with your life. I said, I never told anyone else about that book. He's the only one I told him about the book. So it let me know that he was controlling Marcus Perez. Marcus Perez hung up in my face and never talked to me again. And never answered the phone again after he got caught in only the stalker knowing about the book, but some kind of way he knew, and I never told him. So anyway, I went, called the police and did all kind of different things. The police covered for the interference with child custody. Roy Barker, Deputy Dew in Marion County, they all conspired and would not honor my legal custodial child custody agreement. I had a legal custodial agreement that no one would honor. So I went up to the school, the same school I volunteered at, had the basketball team over, dropped my kids off sometimes when they were sick, came to games. The same school said, Miss Smith said, I don't know if you're the parent. I can't release your child because I wanted to withdraw him. I came up to the school to withdraw him because I could not get any access to my child. And I love them and adore them and miss them desperately. So since all avenues of me having access to my son were closed, I came up there to withdraw him from school to have access to my child, and Miss Smith would not let me, and they gave me a criminal trespass. I talked to my son. I ate lunch with him, and I told him the only reason why it took me so long to have access to him is because I didn't even know if it would be safe for him to be around me. Because all of this madness was going on. I wasn't getting law enforcement. And I said, I want you to know that I've always loved you and I always wanted you. I don't want you to think that I didn't want you. I always did. And I said, I just wanted you to be safe. And he said, it sounds like you're a very good mom. That's what he said. And then after that, the police came, gave me a criminal trespass, and said my son don't want me to be around me. I said, that's a blatant lie. I just talked to my son. So the police gave me a criminal trespass and said my son don't want nothing to do with me, who was a minor. Okay, so these are the texts. And I went to, I think it was Cass County Police Department, because he was living with Marcus Perez at the time. That interference with child custody is a crime. It's a felony crime. But the police would not investigate it because I believe that they are setting this chaos up. Okay, so this son borrowed $1,500. I said, how are you? This is your mom. I wish I could have heard from you for Mother's Day. Why was you, I asked him, look at the dates, May 15th. And then Saturday, I said, why would you get all that money from me, then not talk to me? This is your mom. I love you and miss you dearly. Then yesterday, when I was at AT&T, the abuser gets infuriated when I'm at places like that, and sets up psychological abuse to punish me for getting out and enjoying life. That's why when I started getting out, they set up the false arrest. So I lose my apartment, car, and then job. He said, I responded a couple days ago. I didn't know who it was. I'm sorry. I don't respond faster. I'm just really busy. He just got caught in the lie in this text. I responded a couple days ago. I didn't know who it was. I'm sorry. I don't respond faster. I'm just really busy. So where is the text? I mean, maybe they did sabotage the text, because they have removed text, and I know people wouldn't believe it. So I say, okay. And I said, you can have the money. It makes up for the time I was not allowed to be there for you. When can I talk to you? And he said, I might be able tomorrow, but I don't know for sure. But I will make sure I call you when I get some time. And I said, it's been almost a year and you haven't had time. And that was 8:21 p.m. And I haven't heard from him since. So he engaged in a conversation to disregard me. Mind games. So I realized that my aunt told me that she told me flat out, you don't need to talk to him. She said that they did know him, and then the gang stalkers that lived with her put her in a nursing home. She told me that they were being controlled. So anyway, I do have to realize, I do get hysterical. Things are sensitive. I'm not an expert. I'm just a normal woman trying to deal with all the psychological abuse. I have a history of, I've been molested, I've been raped, and I have a history of being in emotionally abusive situations. That is true. That is a history that I have, and I have been trying to combat and interrupt that pattern. It is true, I have made mistakes in life, a lot of them. I've battled my weight, and I'm still battling it right now. So, but here's the thing, and I'm a Black woman. I don't have a degree. I just wish that I can convince someone that I had value and I didn't need to endure this a day for it. I wish that I could convince people in this world that because you have a badge and gun and you're a judge and you are able to create all kinds of havoc with no consequences. But people like me, they're quickly to put them in jail, and in some circumstances, put them in jail so they don't go to jail. I have been ranting and stating year after year, please help me. And, it's at the point to where, are you going to help yourself? Where is the world if these people repetitively are so crooked that they're breaking into my phone, controlling calls and simulating calls? Crooked people that have defrauded me out of funds. Who else does that put at risk? If you sit there and you condone me being violated, what happens when it's your grandmother? someone elderly that does not know that you can simulate calls. So they get defrauded out of funds, these manipulated websites, and and they don't know that it's possible to do it. But I've seen the websites manipulated, prices change, and all these things to make you think that it's just you, that you're clicking into something wrong. No, these pages are being manipulated, and then the prices change. I've seen it. So what if you don't have any regard for me? What happens when it's your grandmother? What happens when you get elderly? And then they con and scheme you because no one held people accountable that were defrauding people out of funds when it was me, this black woman that may not be educated, that's overweight, and have all these things that people think are checks against me. Anyway, this is a video diary. If you don't do anything, if you are not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. This has went on long enough.